Turn on OBS because there is no editing. Now this guy, it came on my reel because comic book superheroes, all that. I believe, no, I know, he's a super right wing guy. The huge loss of Supergirl, DC Supergirl film, whatever. So I started watching it and then I stopped it. I was like, I might as well just talk about this. I don't care if you like a movie or not. I just don't like when people think there's agendas behind it. And it's a 15-minute video, and my videos are always like up to 30 minutes, and I don't want to go that long. So I will skip different parts and get to like the main parts, I guess, or what I did here, but we'll see. But let's take a hear.
Today's Supergirl film has bombed miserably. Its box office opening is one of the lowest of the past 4 years, and we use 4 years because of COVID. You can't really blame a movie.
And regardless, good or bad, we can't argue that it's bombed. It bombed.
For failing during COVID because doing James Gunn to make it more bright and fun. And this was a miserably stupid thing to do. Okay, let me just start by saying this. And when I show you the numbers, wow. Get woke, go broke. Mistake that Marvel.
Okay, one of the biggest things I hate is the word woke. I think it just came out and everyone just started. I don't get into politics really. I don't like things dealing with politics. I think it all messes up with other things. But I do notice that the right seems to really hate. God, I don't want to even get into this. It's so stupid. That I do notice that they're the ones against like more people the way they live. I don't want to say it, like abortion, gay, all that kind of stuff. They get really involved with that, and I don't see the other side as much. It doesn't come up in conversation, but I try to avoid it as much as I can. So the word woke, I really just don't like. To me, it means now. Like, it's obvious now there's gay people, There's a stronger feminist movement now. I think if you just back up women, you're kind of a feminist. I get the extreme, like that makes sense, extreme feminists where they kind of hate men and all that. That's not good. But if you think women should be on the same level as men, I mean, I'd be damned if you think my wife's lower than me. I would not like that at all. My sisters, I would beat the shit out of you, my mom, any of them, if you said that they were lower than you because you're a man. And I hope you say the same about your mother, your sisters, your wife, your girlfriend, your grandma, whoever. I would hope that you say that. So I think feminist is a thing about them being equal. Is for me. So I think woke is just, for me, is now. Like, there are these things that look like movements, but it's been going on forever. And now, social media and everything acknowledges it. I took, for example, a class about LGBTQ history kind of stuff. And I won't lie, I thought I was going to cruise through it. And I just was, this is easy, great. I learned a lot, and there's a lot of history with it. And the struggles start way back, and it's nuts. But now it's more out there. And it's not woke, it's just there. It's out there. And with social media, the internet, people are now seeing it more. People are not hiding their feelings anymore. Before, when we just had newspapers, people had their opinions, but we didn't know. There's racists all around us, and we don't know that until now. I literally, on side subject again, I like Caitlin Clark a lot. I'm a big basketball fan. I'm not white like they call her supporters. I'm not a Trumper supporter like they say her supporters are. I'm not racist like they say her supporters are. I don't know what else you could throw in there. I'm all not what they say. And there are people that could be racist that are his fans. There definitely could be people that are Trumpers that like it. Republicans, because you do see the crowds. There's a lot of white people. But I do love when I see minorities in there, because it's nice to see, yes, there's some people that just enjoy a good basketball player. I love the Fever team. And I hope that people know that she's playing with gay people and playing with black women, and it's not like she's like, ew, don't touch me. It's whatever. It's a whole different thing. But that's the thing, is we get stuck into these things. So let's say I enjoy Supergirl and I liked it, and then we're gonna go to all these huge jumps right now.
Already realized was not the way to go. So Marvel is erasing the last 7 years of their films, 7 years, to do Endgame. I'm sorry, to do Doomsday. They're re-releasing Endgame, and they're making changes, and they're bringing back Chris Evans, Hemsworth, and Robert Downey Jr. because they realized these guys built a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and when they tried to do Captain Marvel, they burned it all to the ground. The woke crap, the Marvels, it was a major bomb. So for what reason did Warner Brothers...
So what bugs me is he thinks Doomsday was done for the reasons of the slope in, I guess, big blockbusters. Reason is because Endgame happened, and I've talked about this a million times on here, is Endgame happened, and you could only really go down and build up again. You can't just do build up after build up after build up. You can't. Shang-Chi, great film. It can't compare to Endgame and Infinity War. It can't. It's not fair, but that's the way it is. But it's a good movie, and we like it. It makes us money. The Marvels. Oh, first he said Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel came out way before that, and that was probably... I can see him arguing it's about the woman bringing the man down, but that's deals on your insecurity or not, how you feel watching it. Because it was more about what she went through, period. And yes, it happened to be males in those positions, but I don't think they ever singled out, oh, a man lets you not do this. Because I didn't see her snuffing at, Nick Fury the whole time saying, I could do it on my own. She didn't play that. She wasn't like that. It just so happens that the villain of the movie was a guy training her, and she held him back. And the person she looked up to was a woman. So that's kind of a weird thing, but I don't see anything like that in the Captain Marvel. And the Marvels, there's nothing to do with anything about men and women. Nothing. The only thing is she's married to a prince, I think. No, she is, but it's like a weird thing. And maybe you could say something that she subjected herself to a prince. I don't know. But Marvels didn't do well because people don't like Brie Larson. That's why it didn't do well. They didn't want any more Captain Marvel. People have made up their mind, and that's speaking on Marvel fans. I'm a huge Marvel fan, huge MCU fan, but I see it in the comments. I see it everywhere. We have social media. They don't like Brie Larson, and they won't support Brie Larson. It sucks because I think her talking and what she said, she just didn't like to be put in a bubble that, from what I remember, it was just something like saying that, basically a woman can do a man's job. It was something like that. I don't care. It wasn't that big of a deal. But people took it way bigger, and I think she said something about, like, the kind of critics they have. Something, it might have said white, but something about basically like a straight-laced white middle-aged man director. Not people that are of all ages, not people of all minorities, not women, not men, altogether. She just made it like it's a simple demographic that is rating these. Kind of like this guy. And I can understand that, and you have the free speech to say that, but people took it hard, and they really did not like Brie Larson. She's great actress. I don't care what people say. I like Captain Marvel. It's a good movie. Sucks that it has so much funk on it. If you talk to any real, and I hate to be a dick saying this, real comic book fan that doesn't come in with bias about Brie Larson or just likes movies, they'll tell you it's a good movie. If you talk to anyone, they're like, yeah, it's a good movie. It's not like the greatest movie ever, but it's a good movie. So he's saying that there was a slump, and there was, of course. We just came off Endgame. There's going to be a drop. And then he's saying, well, these guys are going back. They got to do what's right and what everyone loves. Now, to be honest, I think Marvel did get in a little bit of a panic mode because they don't know where to go with the story, especially with Kang situation happening. That situation, and it's funny because, like, with that happening, with that whole thing going on with the actor, I don't know, domestic violence or whatever it was, there wasn't a huge uproar from these kind of communities. You know why? Because they're like, that's how they are. And that's how these people are. And this and that. It's a gross narrative. Gross, but they won't be up in arms in it. And if Kang did well, they wouldn't bring it back to it. You know what I mean? Because, I don't know, it's just gross. But anyways, Kang had its own story going, and we had a pivot because of that. John Majors had to get dropped out. And we went to going with Dr. Doom. And I do think it was a hard pivot that we don't know what we're doing right now. We're building up to this big thing. We had the Loki show build up to it. Even Wolverine and Deadpool were building up to it. And Wolverine and Deadpool did great. And the TV shows were doing great during that time. During that that whatever timeline he said that they were failing. That he's high. So, I do think, because Kang was building all this stuff up, Ant-Man 3, again, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but Kang was in that, and it was just this whole build-up thing towards it. And so they did. I think they panicked and pivoted, and they're like, we have to bring Cap back somehow, and we need to bring out Robert Downey Jr. back somehow. We can't bring him back as Iron Man. I'm sure there was talk about bringing him back, but it was too emotional to have him lose him like that. Why he's doomed, we don't know. We don't know why he's doomed. But that's why they're doing that. They're not doing it because, oh, we need money. Marvel and Disney crap money all day, dude. They ship money like it's no one's business. They could put a piece of paper in front of the camera and record, a picture of Chris Hemsworth. People go see it because it's Marvel and Disney. It doesn't matter. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And he says now they're re-releasing Endgame because they're doing so bad. They're re-releasing Endgame to hype up Doomsday because they're going to add scenes again because they never got to set it up for Doomsday. So they're adding scenes into Endgame, which I'm excited to see Endgame in the theaters, that are going to open up to Doom. So that's why they're releasing it. It could be a cash cow to get more money, but I don't think it's what he thinks it is because they're failing so bad.
Trying to do these female-centric action movies that guys don't want to watch, and neither do women. Women, like, someone needs to get, I'm gonna try to be nice. Someone needs to get a stern talking to. I'll just put it like that, because what I actually feel will get me in trouble on YouTube. My point is, women, the shows my wife watches, the films that do really well, the books that sell among women are not a woman stands up, realizes she was strong all along, and then fights the bad guys. The films that women love that make a lot of money are socially oriented drama, romance, and comedy films. The films that men like are the guy overcoming adversity, finding his strength, and saving those that he loves.
So this just, being a huge movie fan, and being surrounded by movie fans, growing up, meeting them on the internet, talking on the internet, being part of people's podcasts. I'm no one famous, nothing crazy, but knowing a lot of people, this isn't what people look for that like movies. We don't care about women being the lead, and they're not always about overcoming men. And watch Alien. Ripley is a badass. It's not about that. It's not always about when you have a woman in the lead role. It doesn't change that. Terminator. It doesn't change that. Terminator 2 mainly. It doesn't change the narrative. That's a movie. Are you going to say, oh, women want to see it because women are in the lead role? No, because it's action. It's made for men. Yeah, T2's potentially more aimed at men. It's not like a lovey-dovey thing what people think women want. But to be honest, women like all kinds of things. What really opened my eyes really is superhero movies. And nowadays, people would call it woke, but women love to watch superhero movies. There's big platforms. There's big influencers. There's big reviewers. That share content about these movies. They don't agree with everything. They don't love everything. They might have this guy's same agenda, whatever. But they do watch it. And guess what? Superhero movies have action. They have drama. They have comedy. They have all these things. But he's putting it into a, like in this little bottle that women only really like these in books. They only really like this and that. I know a lot of women, and I'm not putting them in a bottle, but they love, like True Detective, like murder stories on documentaries. And it's crazy. Like every time it comes up with somebody and it's really big, they bring it up on a Smosh a lot. And it's weird because a lot of times just chicks bring it up and it's like crazy. And it's like, God, why they like it so much? And I don't get the appeal. I don't understand. I'm scared to watch those because I don't want to know about this guy and how he killed people. But again, that's kind of like stereotype. But that stereotype, I guess you could just guess, like that you could argue with, like, why do they feel this way? Are they going to be killers someday? Or are they, what does it appeal to him? Or appeal to them. But I think in general that they just, like men, we like what we like. There's women that probably hate being just glorified as this bimbo or a dumb chick in a main movie, I've seen people argue that this movie, they're treating it in a good way, like Birds of Prey, where there was nothing looking slutty and a girl was leading it. I don't know. But it just wasn't good. I don't look into these factors when I watch a movie. When I watch a movie about a man being torn apart and in the role, as he would call it, emotional drama, there's a million movies with men that do that. There's movies that make you cry that do that. And he's probably one of those guys that, like, you need a man up kind of attitude, which I can't stand. I think you could cry all day, show your feelings, and still be a man. It's nothing about being tough. I think the tougher guys are able to show their emotions, not can it all up and be afraid that people will see it. I think you're braver to let yourself be you, be you. And there's no problem with that. But if you want to be those type, I don't agree with it, but be that way. If you're afraid to show your emotion, or you think if I did show my emotion, I'll look bad or I'll look sad to everybody else, whatever. Go ahead and care about that. But it just kind of gets me a little bit, and you could call it triggered nowadays, that he's putting it in these categories where this is made for men, this is made for women. And it's very like women belong in the kitchen, men belong on the 9 to 5. It never should have been like that. It should be whatever the fuck people want to be. It should have never been like that. So when it comes to movies, it should be like they can watch whatever they want to watch, and we can watch whatever they want to watch, and we all watch the same thing sometimes. So when we talk about superhero movies, I would say it's probably about a 70 to 30 that they're worried about, a men demographic and a 30 demographic for women. Because, yeah, it's more men lean towards superheroes, but growing up with action and all that. But now we do live in a time that these are their own genre. Superheroes are their own genre. And it's becoming more bigger for the opposite sex. So I think now they are looking at demographics a little differently. And they don't do so much things like we need to do this because of women or whatever. But they do think, for the most part, they think we need to tell a good story. And we need to represent this superhero right. And we want to make money. We want to respect the superhero, do it right, make money. That's what they want to do. I don't think they look too much at this. This isn't them selling a Barbie doll. This is them trying to get a movie out there. And movies alone, like I said, you can watch a drama with a man in the lead and crying in it and stuff. It doesn't mean the man's bad. And doesn't men only like action, or women can like action and that's all they like. And again, there's tons of influencers, podcasts, or women, and they like all this stuff too. And it's okay. It's fine. He's saying that there's only a certain way that we can watch it, and it's just don't.
And so they've created this new genre they call the hero's journey.
I haven't heard of this.
And the idea is that, in a masculine movie, a movie for men, a movie that women like too, because as the saying goes, men want to be him, women want to be with him. There's nothing disrespectful about saying that to women. In these stories for men, there is somebody who develops or comes into power, and then Superman last year to 120 Spider-Man universe. They just went like, can we get like 10 scenes with
So, I again don't really like where he's coming from, but it is what it is. Of course, there are people like that out there that you're a man, like that's the guy that I want to be. And of course, women want him, and but I don't think that's the thing people aim for when they make movies. When they write their synopsis, I hope to God that's not on their synopsis. Like this guy, blah blah blah, will be played by The Rock, who definitely is a guy that all the men want to be and the women want to be with. I hate when they say like guys want to be this guy. It's like I like when a guy wants to be himself, but I understand you pull things from people, characters. Like I want to have courage like this guy. I get it, but to be someone else, I always think it's kind of weird. Because you want to be you. Growing up loving Wolverine, I always wanted to be brave and tough like him. But did I want to be Wolverine? No, because I want to be me. But so he goes through the things of the numbers, how bad it dropped. We know it dropped. I haven't seen it yet, but we know no matter what, it has seemed divided online. A lot of people do like it. They're not saying it's great, but it's okay. Then there's a lot of people that crash out over it. And this is one guy that crashes out over it. I don't think he's even seen it either. But he's just going off the news and what's been going on. I know what is brought up a lot is the agenda of wokeness and a woman being in a lead. And so a lot of it deals with making her, I think she's queer, to my knowledge. And the fact that, I don't know, she's a woman. I'm trying to think. There was like some other things, but the main thing I think was that I think wasn't great for Millie Alcock to say was this movie is not made for white Christian dads. That, even if you feel that way, you probably shouldn't say that to promote your movie. What Brie Larson kind of said, it ain't really categorized into a religion. When you're going to a religion thing, you trigger so many people. It don't matter right, left, whatever. The race thing is always a little debatable because you do know that there are people that have stereotypes and they believe certain ways. But when someone gets religious views involved, It's nuts. That's called faith, and they believe into it hardcore. So even the nicest guy that's not a racist, he might be really into his religion. And the fact that you're saying that he can't watch it or it's not made for him, you're going to push them away. So I think that's one of the biggest things that held against her. And I heard that recently, so I don't know if she did it during the week before or if it had that effect. I think it was going to do bad regardless because people don't like men, hate to say it, like this guy, don't like women as leads. A lot of them are afraid of strong women characters. We've had them for years. We've had them in a lot of movies. They just snuck in there and you didn't realize it. You didn't realize watching it. You're watching Jodie Foster being a strong woman in Silence of the Lambs. You're not thinking about it, but it's happening. In Halloween, we have strong women lead. But I just like people understand. But
Jason Momoa in here just so we can add him to the story. Because he comes and goes, apparently, like appears and then leaves and he appears and leaves. I think they knew this was going to bomb. The question is, why'd they do it? Why'd they make it? Why did they not just make a good movie? Well, I'll tell you this, my friends. One of the biggest problems is that Supergirl was always a side character.
I think it's
okay. She had her own comic, of course, but she was never the A-lister that Superman was. She was created as a peripheral character, a hand-me-down off of the Superman brand to try and get young women to read some of these comics. And it's funny when you look at the golden age of comics when they did female characters, they were just like, it's like overtly sexist, So here's what we get, and I'll tell you why I'm not interested in this. I knew what the storyline was already.
I'm sure
the storyline is that Supergirl is a degenerate with bad morals, and she wants to party. She goes to planets with red suns where she has no powers so that she can be normal, get drunk, do drugs, and all of that stuff. I don't care for that. I really don't. You watch some of these films like Iron Man was a degenerate.
So he doesn't like that she does that, but in the comic that he read, she's doing this to deal with what happened with Krypton. And we see a lot of people go through these motions. He talks about it earlier about how men have problems and then they face them and whatever the fuck he was talking about. But that's the thing. We do it with a woman, it turns into a whole different thing. A woman can't be a degenerate. Now he's going to explain, it looks like Iron Man. Let's see, Iron Man came up, it says he was a degenerate.
The character of Tony Stark was supposed to be an alcoholic, smoking, sexist a-hole who is a hero. And the original idea behind it was, can we make a morally failing superhero, but you still have to like him? And he was never the most popular character, but he actually was popular enough. Tony Stark, Iron Man, became popular with Robert Downey Jr. But here's the thing. The first film is literally him being a good person. The character is depicted as morally failing, a business tycoon, weapons salesman. He doesn't care, but he sees. What's fascinating is that Tony Stark sees the bombs on the battle.
I think he's not going where he wants to go in this argument. Tony Stark was, of course, he's not a great person in the beginning. That's the whole point. Doctor Strange wasn't a great person in the beginning. They all were selfish, and you learn with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the thing. And the fact that we can't have that in another gender is odd to me. And they're like, I don't know his argument that it's okay, or that they changed him not drinking and stuff. I know they're going to go there on Iron Man 2, then they pivoted again. I think it's because telling the big story to get to Avengers, if they added in the drama of him being an alcoholic, it would have added too much to it. They did give him more mental issues. They focused it on that from Avengers, where he started getting PTSD. And again, this guy probably doesn't believe people have PTSD or goes through any kind of trauma. A lot of men do, a lot of women do. It depends what they've gone through, but it's sad. So he does go through something that is vulnerable. And you could relate that we've all been vulnerable before. So now being like a bad person, was Supergirl bad in this movie or in the comic? In the comic, no. In the movie, I doubt it. She's probably just coping with how she felt. Does that make a good movie or bad movie? No. But I'm just saying, that's probably what's going on. There's like 5 minutes left on. I don't want to take too much more of the time besides me talking, basically.
Battlefield, he sees the backroom dealings, and he is not okay with it because Tony Stark was a good guy. He's a drunk. He's a womanizer. He's all these bad things. But when he really sees the problems, he has a reconciliation over what bad is being done in his name and that he's profiting off of, and he changes everything.
But see, the only reason why Tony did that was because he got captured and he had to reevaluate things, and it was different. He heard the man's story in the cave. He didn't just have a good moral compass already. Tony wasn't raised that way. He came up with a silver spoon, you know? It's different. And I hate when people try to relate to a comic book and they know nothing about the comic book character. Tony did have a change of heart, but it took a lot to get there. And, of course, in a movie, we got to confine it to 20, 30 minutes when he finally gets to that moment. If we're telling that story. But it's not like, oh, the whole time he's in the back room watching people do deals, but he didn't like it. No, he didn't care. He didn't care about war. His family's done this forever. He didn't care, right? He didn't care. Didn't care about womanizing. Didn't care about drinking. He learned along the way with Pepper Potts, showing her so much respect all the time. He learned so much from her that he fell in love with her. She's a strong, independent woman type of deal that this guy probably don't like. He even made her, he's not going to go into this, that he made her the CEO of his company. Tony Stark stepped down and let a woman run his company. Would women watch a movie about a woman running a company? Yes. Devil Wears Prada. There's movies like that. So could someone relate to that watching Iron Man? Yes. Maybe they could. Could they take aspects from her and think, I want to be kind of like take these trademarks from her? Yes. They probably could. So I think he just doesn't really get the character, and he's still stuck on this really right wing. I hate bringing this up, but like strong feelings, what it's supposed to be. But let's let him talk.
So he's chosen because of his good moral character. He is gifted with powers, and he uses those powers to fight for his friends and for his country, and he sacrifices himself in the end. Think about...
Oh, man. So Tony Stark didn't get powers. Tony Stark built his way out of there. He creates machines. He fought for everyone to an extent. I think he learned through the times of who he could trust and not trust. I wouldn't say he didn't fight for America. He fought for the world. We go and we see that he fights for the human race. He sacrificed himself at the end of Endgame for the human race. It wasn't for just the men, just for America. This was for everybody. He didn't care what color you were, what country you're from. He didn't care, all right? And don't tie that into him that he did it for our country and it's all this patriotic bullshit. It's not. You could kind of tie that to Captain America, how it started with Cap. He was a propaganda tool that they used him, displayed him, and pronounced him around everywhere in a dumb Captain America suit and said, buy bonds. And Cap didn't like that. And he has a big, thing with the country, and that makes sense. But he eventually is like, I gotta do me, and doing me is what's right. In Civil War, he'll go against the government because he only has a moral compass of doing the right thing, and he believes that's right. Even though Tony is trying to do the right thing and make it so we follow the rules. But sometimes rules don't need to be followed, and it could go back and forth. But don't compare to Iron Man like that, please.
About those messages. Tony Stark, a man who had it all, who has everything stripped from him and faces adversity and realizes the problems that he was causing and decides to make a change. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, same thing. Captain America, somewhat different. And then they bring us Captain Marvel. She always had the power, but a man was holding her down.
Oh my God.
They didn't even do that with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was just, I liked Wonder Woman. I thought it was fantastic. The problem with Wonder Woman 1984 was that they tried to make it Trump. They were like, the bad guy's Trump, I guess. And I'm like, oh God, it's just so cringe.
Gotta hate that. So cringe. I don't think it's so much that Captain Marvel was held back by a man. I think a whole society, she got superpowers that were crazy, and they did not want her using those powers at all. We've seen this in many cases where people, they have what's within them, but they have to pull it out of them and figure it out somehow. If anyone have seen, I think first thing that comes to me is Willow. I love Willow as a kid. He wanted to be a wizard or sorcerer, and he never could get it. But eventually, he's all along. It's old as tale as time. Everybody's there's stories all the time that they get the powers, and and that's it. Now, Wonder Woman was okay. I do think it was not a great casting, not great acting. Story was okay. But I do feel it's not really on the same line of trying to put it up against Supergirl. Two different types of stories and motives. But him saying like he loved it and this and that or whatever. And then he said number 2 was like doing it towards Trump. I don't understand it. I get it. No, 84 was just horrible. It's a horrible movie. It's one of the trashiest Supergirl movies out there. But I get it that it wasn't good. But I don't get why he has an opinion on this, but the only opinion he has on that is the way they made it Trump, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to hear what he says. He's a little upset about that right now.
So now we get feminist Millie Alcock's Supergirl, and the story is her dog gets poisoned, and that's dumb because the dog also has superpowers. So if she just brings the dog to Earth, the dog is healed, and then
there's been a lot of videos about this that they explain she can't, and there's a reason why, and not to give spoilers to people, but there is a reason why she can't just bring them to Earth. Guessing you didn't watch it. I didn't watch it, but I at least watch videos and do homework. But it's cool.
So she goes and fights a guy, and at the end, she's still a moral degenerate who just always had the power, and it's just, just stop. Anyway, you guys have your movie. That's fine. I'm not going to watch it. Apparently, nobody else is either. And it really pisses me off. I'm going to tell you, I don't care that you made your queer movie that you want your friends to watch. That's
that hurts. Made your queer movie that you want to watch. I believe they just made Supergirl how it is, and if anything didn't hit, it was maybe the actress, because I've heard back and forth that she's perfect Supergirl. For people to say she's a horrible Supergirl. I've heard the story. It doesn't follow the comic accurately, and a lot of comic people were holding it to that. The podcast that I follow a lot, I've seen them give it like 6.5 out of 7. I think that's good for what people have been talking about. Or it's just, again, people don't like seeing women as leads, and this is where this guy falls. And also, queer, whatever he said. He doesn't like that she's queer, or whatever it is. All those reasons could be part of why it's failing, from men having the same perspective, or even women having the same perspective. But having those perspectives is kind of gross, and the reason why movies shouldn't fail. Movies shouldn't fail based off these things. When The Birdcage came out, we shouldn't have been like, that movie's gonna bomb because it's about gay guys. Brokeback Mountain, that has won Oscars, and it's a drama, and it's not for men, it's probably for women. He's gonna say it's the gayest thing ever. He's gonna say, yeah, it's about 2 gay men, and it's a great movie, and it's won Oscars, and they're great actresses in it. I don't know what to tell you. But I wouldn't go, that's a queer movie. It's just a drama. This is just a superhero movie. All right? This is just a superhero movie. And I get it. You think all these superhero movies, there are men trying to... The stories are always man trying to keep a woman down. Then they realize they have the power all along. Like Captain Marvel. And again, she just had the power, but the race of hers suppressed it because they knew she was too powerful. And this happens all the time in movies. That people have power within them the whole time and they never knew. You go to Disney movies and stuff. It's not a shocker. And it just so happens, I guess, that the main bad guy was a guy. So he thinks it's men holding him down. Or even critics say that. And now that's what's supposed to be Supergirl is. Like, she is going through her journey that she had the power all along and this and that. And it's like, no, she was going through trauma. And at least in the comic. And from what I'm getting from the trailers and stuff, it's, she's going through a trauma and she's dealing with it the best way she can, from being taken away from Krypton and dealing with what she does with, then losing crypto basically triggers a lot of other things. There's a huge story behind this. So you can't really sit there and be like, your queer movie and your woke movie, it's just, woke just means now. It's not, woke is just such a dumb term. It's been around forever. It's just, like I said, it's just brought to the light now. We have social media, we have internet. There's always been gay people. There's always been trans people. There's always been, like, racists out there. It's crazy. They're all out there. It's just we didn't see it all the time because, Everyone wasn't afraid to be behind a screen and talk. And then once other people started in the public light started talking the way they feel, it goes for every side. They feel like they have the freedom to go do what they want because they have a right to freedom of speech. But they also put their morals out there, and some went to a bad side and didn't care if people saw it. Didn't care if they were racist. They didn't care if they hated women. They didn't care if they hate, gay people or whatever. But that was always around. It's not called woke. It's called now. Like, literally. That's just what we call it now. It's been around forever. It's not people waking up, we're going to put a gay guy in a movie. Cool. Like, I get it if you're overdoing it to try to shove it down someone's throat. That could go any way. Anything. You could do too much and shove it down their throat. But if that's the story, if the Justice League are all gay guys and they're not gay guys, I'd be upset. So, it's like, people get mad about gender swapping. Like, Ancient One and Doctor Strange was a woman. Did it affect the movie? No. Things like that, it doesn't matter really. Now, if you did race swapping with Black Panther, made him a white guy, yeah, that would matter. Because the race does matter in that part. So things do matter. And I get it that people have strong, which I would call bad beliefs. I think you should be open and listen to everybody. And if you have opinion that's bad, that may be just an asshole thing to do, don't say it, or say it to yourself in the mirror and keep it to yourself. Just saying this is like a queer movie is just kind of insulting in a way. I don't know. It just kind of blows my mind. Again, this kind of came up on my algorithm, and I the way he was talking at first, I stopped it because I was like, okay, we could kind of dig into this while it's going on. I didn't know he was going to call it a queer movie. And I don't know much about the guy, but I think I've seen him before. So I looked up his name, and it's like, he's like a big right-wing dude. And again, I don't like to get in politics, especially with my movies and superheroes. But again, they feel like politics do get into it because if they push women as leads or equal as men, then that's not the way the Republican Party is, or whatever it is, or if gays are accepted or whatever, it turns political then for them, and they say, oh, it's woke now. There's a gay guy in the movie, the Supergirl, whatever, they're gay now, well, it's woke. And it's like, if they're shoving down your throat, like, I can understand it. Like, every scene's her trying to pick up a girl or something, you're like, all right, I kind of want to watch a movie. That makes sense. But the fact that it's just someone's personality, and they're not trying to even get you to relate to that, that's just the character it is, Again, this guy probably hates Brokeback Mountain to death. And the most insecure people are the ones that shock me the most, that probably have something hidden, some agenda that is scaring them within themselves. And this guy got huge popular. I'm a nobody to this guy, right? This guy probably has 1 million followers. I don't know who he is really. I had to look it up. There is a lot of laugh emotions at it, because emoticons, because people probably do find it humorous the way he's thinking. It's very, it's anti-feminist, of course, but it's very just mansplaining, and it's just gross. Like, if I knew guys like this in real life, I would never want to be around them. Like, let's just watch action movies, guys. It's just like, stupid. Like, this dude must get off on the Fast and the Furious movies. Like, yeah, brother. So you can't even watch Terminator. You know what I mean? Like, the woman's the lead in it. You can't. It does change into the other ones, but T2, the best movie, and critically acclaimed and by fans, is held into the category of one of their favorite movies ever. People will put T2 up there. Alien, like I said, again, a woman-led movie, and is this guy not going to watch it because it's a strong woman lead and she's the one that's doing everything, I don't get being intimidated by that. I don't. He's going to say, I'm not intimidated by that. It's just not right. No, it's fine. It's fine. People can be how they want to be, and we can tell a story how we want to tell it. And it could be a girl, it could be a man, it could be whoever. As long as it fits the agenda for the story, that's what's fine. As long as it doesn't screw it up, or same with comic book characters. I always don't like them changing it too much where it takes it away from who the character is. Batman kills, I don't like it, because that's a huge part of his story. Because he could have killed the Joker a long time ago, saved a lot of lives a long time ago, but he let the Joker live, and it almost looks bad on Batman because he could have killed him a long time ago. And Red Hood, his old Robin, even said that, you let him live and blah, 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 blah. But that's the whole thing. It's like, but that's a big thing of Batman's character. If they made Batman start killing, it kind of ruins the character because he has to deal with the consequences that him having this moral compass, which we all probably don't believe in killing people, or for the most part, I don't know, can't speak for everyone, that we don't do these like traits for certain reasons, and he doesn't do these traits like killing as a super vigilante, because some vigilantes don't care. Daredevil, he'll try his best not to kill you, but if he does, he does. Punisher, he don't care. This guy's probably a punisher Punisher fan. Probably puts a skull on the back of his jacket, on the back of his car. And thank God the comic fan people or comic writers and stuff have jumped out and said, no one needs to represent Punisher. Punisher lives outside the law. He's not really a good person. He's trying to do good things, but he's not essentially doing the right thing. That's not the right way to go about things. And how he does it. You can still like Punisher. Great writing, great stories. But they're saying for you to want to represent him, it's just kind of odd. Especially coming from law enforcement is one of the big things that they didn't like. Because Punisher makes it very clear in the comic, you guys have laws and rules to follow, and I don't. And I'm sure you guys can look up to Captain America if you want a hero. And it's very true. You could just put Captain America's shield on the back and be like, I want to be like Captain America. But the Punisher makes it very clear in the comic. But anyways, we're getting off topic. But we'll let him finish out. Hopefully, he can go on about his queer movie, I guess he wants to call it, and talk about how bad it's bombing. Again, I think it's bombing just because either word of mouth, the fact that Supergirl doesn't look the way people want to look. I guarantee you, if she had a quote-unquote hotter look, more people would want to see it. The fact that James Gunn's tied to it. A lot of people that hate Marvel already don't like James Gunn. People think he's a pedophile. I know there's some weird things like back in the day, but I think it was just Twitter comments. Again, I do a little bit of my homework, and that's the farthest I could really go. I think if he did do things, he'd be caught, just like Bryan Singer, who made the X-Men films. He would have parties and bring male people over, and it was very, I heard, not good, and that's why you don't see Bryan Singer making movies anymore. And Kevin Spacey was doing things like that, and he's not making movies anymore because someone does eventually speak up, and things change. So, as far as James Gunn, I found like very tasteless jokes. They're not great, I guess. I've told tasteless jokes before, but it doesn't give them the right to say it either. I've done things like that I've probably regretted, but I think that's not to give him the out as well. Because I could say, oh, no, I can't. I was going to say, I did what Kevin Spacey did, but I'll give him the out. No, I can't. If I did what Kevin Spacey did, I would want you guys to throw rocks at me and throw me down a hole. But yeah, so I don't, with James Gunn, people don't like him. It's not Snyder, so people don't like that. People aren't happy that they're using Supergirl to do the next movie out of the DC universe. And again, a lot of these guys, it's huge in the world. It's very risky to have a woman be the lead in a Supergirl movie, and they don't like it. Marvel did, I think, took about 16, 17 movies before Black Widow got a movie. I think she came before Captain Marvel. Can't remember. But it took a lot, and it is worrisome for studios all the time. It's a very big risk to have a woman as lead as a superhero. Wonder Woman got to get her movie. Didn't do that great. I think it did okay. If you want to talk money wise, as far as like people liking it, it was okay. 84 of course bombed and stuff. I don't think it had to do with being a lead, but I don't think people should look at that when they look at the movie. Not because and Wonder Woman's a very strong figure for girls to look up to as well. I think girls could also look up to men superheroes, just like I see girls look up to male athletes and stuff like that. I think there's no problem with that. But let's hear what the rest he has to say, because I already skipped over some stuff just because it saved time and I'm already talking too much.
Fine. But how many people exist on the planet who are going to pay for a movie like that? Serious, or in the country? Black Adam I thought was fun, but I think they did Black Adam dirty. Black Adam's he's a villain and anti-hero. They could have done better than that. Superman was fun. I love the Mr. Terrific scene. He's one of my favorite superheroes. I love it. I love superheroes that are just humans and have powers. I love humans. I love superheroes that are humans who are the best they can be. And Mr. Terrific, he's a genius billionaire. You know, kind of like Iron Man or Batman. That's why I like Iron Man and Batman. Look at this Black Panther Wakanda Forever. That was yikes. But it was the opposite of feminist. That one was about, Atlantean Mexicans. Guys, I kid you not. Literally about Mexicans going through, crossing the border illegally into Wakanda through the river. Not kidding. And it is the craziest thing to me. Shuri, the new Black Panther, because T'Challa died, defeats Namor by drying his skin. I'm not even joking. It's so crazy they made this. They were like, the Mexicans are empowered by having wet backs. I'm not kidding.
Oh man, this makes me not even want to watch this. I don't like Wakanda Forever. I don't like it at all. It's not on the bottom of my list, but I just think the only thing I liked about it was a good standoff for Chad. Other than that, I did think they should just recast him. Because these characters are bigger than people. It sucks. That's why we get a million Jokers. And that's why the other person's Batman. If those people died as Batman, we wouldn't say we can't make them no more. It's just we keep going. And sadly, that's the way it is. But these stories keep getting told. But him using the story as wetbacks against basically Wakanda people. I don't know if he's going to call them black or African. It's just god awful. This is someone I would normally not get my views on why a movie's bad. This is not good at all. He's got a minute left. I don't know how long I recorded it, but I thought I got some good points out with the way he's using it, but just him saying that's just, God, that's awful. To judge a movie based off of that. I can understand you don't like the plot. Like, I didn't like the plot, really. I didn't like being Hispanic myself. I should have been excited to get a superhero that was like Hispanic or something. But I thought, because he's Namor, I didn't think Namor should have changed that much. To be honest, always thought how he was drawn, I thought he was Asian, how they drew him. Because back then there was like a real racist time how they drew people. So if they wanted to make it look like him, they tried to make him like him. Sometimes they exaggerated features and stuff like that. Especially like Mandarin and stuff. That's why Mandarin was a big deal. Why they didn't want to touch Mandarin. It's because they thought back in the days they mocked him. And he became a good villain, though, eventually. But the reason why they made him was because the wars that were happening at the time. But to think you don't like the movie because of that, you could not like the story and think it's done because of this, but not because wetbacks are trying to get across the border.
Have you seen the movie? They're like, how is he so strong? And they're like, it's because he's oxidizing from the water and the air at the same time. It's like this. They're like, when he's wet, he can extract oxygen from the water at high volumes, which allows him to move very quickly. He can fly, whatever. He's got wings on his feet. That's Namor, right? And it's like, they're like, his name is Namor, no love. Like, oh my God. It's so bad. But in the end, Shuri blasts him with jet exhausts from which heats his back up, drying off the water. And he's like, oh, my wet back is now dry. I'm not joking. I am not saying that as an insult. That's literally what happened. I wonder why that movie did well.
We all know why that movie didn't do well. It was because they're forcing on a sequel that didn't need one at the moment, especially with the passing of Chad Bosnick. And that's why it didn't do as well. Because we had to watch a movie with Shuri as a lead. We weren't ready to have Shuri as a lead. We did not want Shuri as a lead. I didn't want to see another Wakanda movie about the Black Panther as Shuri. But again, men may not like it, or women, who knows, because a woman was in the lead. I was excited to see Namor, but I do think they changed him a little too much for my liking. I did like there was a connection to Aztec with Atlanteans somehow. Like, that was kind of interesting way to take it, because the movie does change things a lot. But I don't think that's why it failed so much. I think it failed because we didn't have Black Panther, because Black Panther 1 was amazing, and it being so good, number 2 could not live anywhere near it. And I think Chadwick is just one of the main reasons. And I think people really, really took that hard. Some people didn't want to even see it because they thought it was disrespectful to even make another Black Panther movie. I was okay with it, but I thought just give it time and cast another actor. But he was in the grand, or at least I don't know. They didn't really need to do it now. I wouldn't say he's in the grand plan because he was up to Endgame and his story could go on, but it could change. And now they're trying to set up for his son to be it. But now we're gonna get a whole reboot, so that's a whole different story. He's about to finish.
Anyway, whatever, man. Guys, it's been fun. Whatever, dude. Supergirl just burning down everything. Can we just get good DC stuff? You know, the Batman I thought was bad. I don't want to see a weak, scrawny Batman. I want to see a strong, competent Batman. Whatever. Get woke, go broke. Have fun. Thanks for hanging out. Smash the like button. All that good.
Get woke or go broke. Again, woke just means now. Like I said, it's always been here. There's always been gay people. There's always been racist people. There's always been all these different things that people are mad about that they call woke. Oh, they're trying to be woke. They put a gay guy here, whatever. Sometimes that character was gay. We didn't even know it. Or an actor was gay portraying him and you didn't know it. It shouldn't change the way you view things. I just hate the word woke. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. Because anything you do nowadays, you could try to change that to, oh, that's a woke thing. And it's like, dude, that's been happening forever. Like, just take time. If you really don't understand it or think you know it, go read the history on it. And you'll understand. Maybe it'll make you understand Captain Marvel a little bit. Maybe it'll make you understand Supergirl a little bit. Will make you like the movies, love the movies. And I don't care, but at least understand what you're complaining about. Like, I just don't get it. He said men want explosions and action, basically. Women want drama and comedies. And I don't think it has to be that way. I really don't. I think anybody could like anything. And when they make things for audiences, yes, I do think they do demographics, of course. Just like, I think it's bigger with toys and things like that. But, of course, they do with movies. And they know kind of what audience they're going for. But I would say times are changing as far as, like, superheroes go. That the genre is getting to a point where they're like, we're making this not for kids anymore. We're making it for the adults that read the comics. Now we have a lot of women that are a big demographic that like superhero movies. So they're a part of it. We have families, whatever. So there's a huge thing. We're not promoting a Disney family movie. We're not promoting a guy action movie. We're not doing a drama movie for women or whatever he wants to call it. We're making a movie for everyone. That's usually the goal. I've heard people say that they might get offended by Supergirl. I don't know if it scares your kids about things in it. I don't know how much is talked about it. Again, if things are shoving down your throat, that's one thing. But if people are just a normal life, as you call woke, they're just living in the movie, and it's not like a huge part of like they have to do it every scene. Like I get that could be uncomfortable for you, but I still think families are able to go see Supergirl. Men are able to like it. Women are able to like it. Kids are able to like it. If you don't like it, that's fine, but not based off what he's going off of about what men need to watch and what women need to watch. It's just asinine. It's just crazy. It's the whole like he's a thing that again thinks feminist is a bad thing. When feminist is just equal, that's all it's ever meant. Extreme feminists, I get it. Like I said before, I get that. But just being a feminist, believe they're equal. That's it. You know, they want the same share. They want equal rights. And I would be pissed if you told me my wife is lower than me. I've said that before. And I said the same thing about my mom, my sisters, everyone, my nieces. If you ever treated them lower than the next peer next to them, that's man says they don't deserve to be treated as well as this person because he's a man, not because of what he did, because he's a man, I would beat your shit out of you. Literally, the shit would come out of you. But if you don't feel that way about your own mother, grandmother, kids, you know, niece, nephews, cousins, whoever, friends, and you wouldn't stick up for them and say that, no, they're a little lower because they're women. You're just trash. You're just a trash human being. So if you feel that way, how I feel, sadly to say, it might hurt you. You're a feminist. That's technically what it is. It's just believing in equal rights. Now, like I said, there's extreme feminists. Fine. I get it. Because that's a little bit where they're like pushing down men and stuff like that. I get that. And a lot of people take that really fast and hard with that sounds gross. With feminists, they automatically go to that idea. But again, if you kind of dive a little deeper in the literature, it really is all about rights. And if you find somewhere that it's being more putting down men and trying to overcome the male population and just make it women, like Wonder Woman society, you know, you could dislike it. That's fine. Because that isn't right either. But I believe if you believe women should be treated on the same spectrum as men, I believe you're a feminist. And I hate to say that, but because people don't want to hear it, but I believe it. Then we have the whole other things. Again, the gay things. They don't like it. Don't like it being mentioned. It's weird that everyone's okay with Deadpool. Deadpool is pansexual. He'll have sex with anything. And I haven't seen this movie, so I don't know how much she talks about. If she talks about how much she deals with women, but I assume it's not the whole movie because I haven't heard that complaint. I've heard only from like really right wing sides, which again I hate getting into politic crap. But most of the time it's just she's not a good actress. The story wasn't good. Blah blah blah. Or they don't like a woman as a lead, and that's stupid. But Deadpool is pansexual. Deadpool does it with men. Deadpool does it with women. Half the guys rocking their shirts, rocking the hat, rocking the backpacks, they are not aware that they're rocking a guy that gets pegged. Even though they do show it in the movie without showing it. But this guy, Deadpool, is just a wild and crazy guy. He lives life to the fullest. He's dying of cancer and he's still in remission, and he's just going to live life. So he loves everybody. He has crushes on men. A lot of people say on Spider-Man and Wolverine, he does. I remember X-Men 97 came out and they made Morph gay in it. They're like, oh, great, they made him just because it's woke. No, probably because they just didn't think there was proper representation for everybody. You know, sometimes you want to change things up a little bit and give something that's been here forever. Gay people been here forever, ever since biblical times. Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't just straight people. You know, they just throw that in sometimes. You know, it's not. Is it forced down your throat? No, it's not forced down your throat. But it's there, and it is what it is. And you just kind of, if you don't like it, just turn it off. But don't give us your shitty opinion about it just because of these bases. You can come at me and tell me the story was bad. You don't like this part of the story. You tried to mention the dog and how it was a plot hole. They already fixed that plot hole. Many videos have been made that fix that plot hole. And her being, he calls it a queer movie. Men should watch explosions and action, and women should watch dramas, and it's just stupid. It's all very stupid. There's a lot going on in this content that came on my algorithm, and I do not agree with. And it sucks because we live in this world where I'm watching superhero clips, and this comes by, and it says Supergirl, huge loss. I'm like, explore. I'm like, okay, what's he got to say about it? Name looked familiar, though. And look, you know, start listening to him, and it's just not cool. He's talking about human beings, really not cool. And then, yeah, we get to this point where I actually watch all of it, and it's very uncomfortable. But some people might be like, "Oh, man, you're soft. Oh, man, you're triggered." If you think it's okay for someone to be the way they are, I think you might be a problem as well. If someone to be like this, look at women like this, look at the gay community like this, look at Supergirl like this, that is a problem. I'm sorry, because that's just you having wrong morals. It don't matter what religion you're from, what culture you're from. It always comes back to just love, person next to you. Love thy neighbor, no matter what. You could throw different scriptures at me. You could throw all kinds of different stuff at me. But I know what it comes down to because we've lived with it. We lived with good people that look out for each other, no matter what race, gender, what sex they're into. Just doesn't matter. And it's just sad that in my world of superhero movies that it comes into this. And it's come into a lot of times. But the fact that this came across me and I saw it and I was like, oh, I can make a good video on this. And it's like, dude, people are out there like this. This is crazy. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Just, I usually tell people go check out these people because I take off their content. His name is Temple. But if you're not into what he's saying, I wouldn't go there. If you do like what he's saying, I think there's some issues. If you have more logical thoughts about it, I can understand. But again, I usually tell people to go check them out. But there are other people I watch videos of just because they get trolled all the time and it's funny. But it's superhero stuff. It's a superhero world. It's comic movies and stuff. It's not this where it gets really hardcore, where he's making fun of wetbacks and Namor and all that. Yeah, it was just gross. Yeah. All right, that's it. Hopefully people watch, and if they don't, oh well, I got to say my piece. Turn off OBS because no editing.